It's the 1920s. Hollywood's golden age is just beginning, and Clara Bow is at the heart of it. They called her the It Girl for a reason. She wasn't just a silent film star. She embodied the idea of celebrity before it even had a name. But let's be real, Clara wasn't just making headlines on the screen. Nope, off-screen she was living it up. We're talking wild parties, forbidden romances, and rumors that would make today's tabloids blush. Now, back in those days, actresses were expected to be picture perfect, both on and off the screen. But Clara, she wasn't having any of that. She pushed the boundaries, which Hollywood found scandalous. Her rebellious spirit made her a target for the media, who dug up everything from her alleged affairs to whispers about her drug use. Whether the rumors were true or not, they stuck. And as much as the public loved her on screen, the rumors off-screen began to take a toll on her career. By the time the late 1920s rolled around, Clara had become Hollywood's original bad girl, and Hollywood wasn't quite sure what to do with her. She retreated from the spotlight, but not without leaving a lasting legacy. She paved the way for the rebel actresses to come. But speaking of rebels, let's jump to the 1940s, where things only got wilder. Enter Veronica Lake, the blonde bombshell with the signature peekaboo hairstyle that made her an icon of the era. Veronica was the kind of star that Hollywood loved on screen but didn't quite know how to handle behind the scenes. On screen, she was all glamour and poise. But off-screen, she was a different story. Veronica was known for being difficult. Directors said she had a sharp tongue, a bad attitude, and a penchant for showing up late or not at all. She also had a serious drinking problem, and by the late 1940s, her career was spiraling downward fast. Studios stopped calling, and soon she was blacklisted. But it wasn't just Hollywood that turned its back on her. Veronica ended up broke, working as a waitress in New York City just to get by. Imagine that, one of the biggest stars of the 1940s reduced to serving food. It's a sad end to a career that started with so much promise, but it's a cautionary tale of how fast the Hollywood machine can chew you up and spit you out. Up next, though, we've got someone who took scandal to a whole new level. Barbara Payton was another actress whose career should have been legendary, but it ended in tragedy. Barbara was a stunner, with looks that could stop traffic, and for a while she was Hollywood's next big thing. But Barbara had a thing for bad boys, and her turbulent love life became tabloid gold. Her most famous scandal involved a love triangle with actors Franchot Tone and Tom Neal, which ended in a brutal fistfight that left Franchot in a coma. Barbara's personal life overshadowed her career, and it didn't take long for the offers to dry up. Hollywood loves a scandal, but Barbara's life became too messy, even for Tinseltown. By the mid-50s, she was broke, destitute, and struggling with addiction. Her fall from grace was swift and brutal, and she died in 1967, forgotten by the industry that once adored her. It's one of the darkest tales of Hollywood's golden age, but it wasn't the last. And speaking of divas who embraced scandal, now we move on to Tallulah Bankhead, who wasn't just an actress. She was a full-on force of nature. Tallulah didn't care what anyone thought of her. She partied harder than most of her male counterparts, flaunted her bisexuality long before that was socially acceptable, and lived a life of pure indulgence. But with that lifestyle came a reputation. Tallulah was notorious for showing up to sets hungover, late, or sometimes not at all. Rumor has it she was kicked off sets more than once for her outrageous behavior, and you can bet the gossip columnists were eating it up. Her sharp wit and devil-may-care attitude made her a darling of the tabloids. But even with all that drama, she still managed to keep her career afloat, because let's be honest, Tallulah was as talented as she was scandalous, and Hollywood, for all its finger-wagging, couldn't get enough of her. She was ahead of her time, living her life unapologetically, and in a way, paving the way for future stars to break the rules. And then we have Lana Turner, the glamorous blonde bombshell who became embroiled in one of Hollywood's most infamous scandals. In 1958, Lana's boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato, was found stabbed to death in her Beverly Hills home, and here's the kicker, Lana's teenage daughter, Cheryl, was the one who did it. Cheryl claimed she was defending her mother from Stompanado's abuse, and the media went absolutely wild. The trial was a full-blown circus, with paparazzi swarming Lana and Cheryl wherever they went. Cheryl was acquitted, but the scandal stuck with Lana for the rest of her career. Hollywood had always loved Lana's on-screen glamour, but after the trial, she became known as the actress whose personal life was more dramatic than any of her films. And speaking of dramatic, wait till you hear about our next star. Zsa Zsa Gabor wasn't just famous, she loved being famous. In fact, she practically invented the art of being famous for being famous. Born into Hungarian nobility, Zsa Zsa brought old-world glamour to Hollywood, along with a sense of extravagance that few could match. She had the kind of charm that could win over a room, and she was unapologetically herself, flirty, glamorous, and always in the spotlight. But Zsa Zsa's real fame came not just from her film career or her 9 marriages. Oh no, she had a way of staying in the headlines that transcended the movies. She made headlines with her witty one-liners, often poking fun at her own love life. One of her most famous quotes, "I am a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I keep his house." That was Zsa Zsa in a nutshell, self-deprecating, sharp-tongued, and utterly glamorous. However, her most infamous moment came in 1989, and it didn't involve a red carpet or a romance. It involved the law. Picture this: Zsa Zsa Gabor in all her fur-clad glory, driving her Rolls-Royce through Beverly Hills. She's pulled over by a police officer for a routine traffic stop. Now, most people would hand over their license and registration, right? Not Zsa Zsa. She slapped the officer right across the face. That's right, she slapped a Beverly Hills cop. If that's not peak Zsa Zsa, I don't know what is. The slap heard around Hollywood turned into one of the most notorious celebrity trials of the decade, but Zsa Zsa wasn't about to let a little legal trouble dull her shine. No, she turned the courtroom into her own personal stage. From the moment she walked in, she treated the trial like a performance, cracking jokes, delivering zingers, and playing up her role as the aggrieved starlet. She dressed to the nines for every appearance, giving the press exactly what they wanted, pure drama. As for the outcome, Zsa Zsa was sentenced to a brief stint in jail, but even then she didn't seem fazed. Jail time? For Zsa Zsa, it was just another chapter in the fabulous, dramatic, and sometimes scandalous life she was living. When she emerged from her brief incarceration, she was still smiling, still glamorous, and still the talk of the town. In fact, she seemed to relish the attention. As far as Zsa Zsa was concerned, as long as people were talking about her, she was winning. Her life became a template for the reality TV stars who followed decades later, people who built their fame not on their talent or their work, but on their ability to entertain and shock the public. Zsa Zsa Gabor was the original reality star, long before reality TV even existed. She understood the value of scandal and how to use it to her advantage. The slap and the trial didn't hurt her image. They enhanced it. People loved her even more for her outrageousness, and Zsa Zsa lived her life unapologetically in the spotlight until the very end. But if Zsa Zsa's life was all glitz and glam, our next actress had a much darker, tragic story. Moving back in time to the 1940s, Linda Darnell was one of the most beautiful actresses of her era. She was the kind of stunning that could stop people in their tracks. Linda had a meteoric rise to fame, becoming one of 20th Century Fox's brightest stars while still in her teens. Hollywood couldn't get enough of her sultry looks and screen presence. She starred in hit films like Forever Amber and A Letter to Three Wives, solidifying her status as one of the most sought-after actresses in Hollywood. But behind the scenes, Linda's life was far from glamorous. She was thrust into the spotlight at a young age, and the pressure took its toll. Her personal life was a constant source of turmoil, especially when she became romantically involved with one of Hollywood's most powerful directors, Joseph Mankiewicz. Their affair became a Hollywood scandal, and it didn't just tarnish her personal reputation, it began to affect her career as well. Hollywood is a town that loves scandal, but it doesn't always forgive it, especially when it comes to women. The affair with Mankiewicz was an open secret, and while he went on to further success, Linda's career began to stall. It wasn't just the affair, though. Linda had developed a reputation for being difficult to work with. Directors found her temperamental and co-stars whispered about her unreliability on set. She started to miss out on major roles, and by the 1950s, her career was in freefall. Her personal life wasn't much better. Linda struggled with failed relationships and the pressures of living up to Hollywood's impossible standards. She turned to alcohol to cope with the stress, and soon her once bright star began to fade. Hollywood's harsh machine chewed her up, and by the mid-50s, she was no longer the box office draw she once was. The industry had moved on, leaving her behind. But the most tragic part of Linda Darnell's story came in 1965. At just 41 years old, Linda died in a house fire while visiting friends in Chicago. It's believed that she was trying to save her friend's daughter from the flames, but tragically, she didn't make it out alive. The fire was a shocking and heartbreaking end to the life of a woman who had once lit up the silver screen. For many, it was a reminder of just how fleeting fame can be in Hollywood. One day you're on top of the world, and the next you're gone. And speaking of fleeting fame, let's jump to the 1980s with Sean Young, whose antics on and off set made her more infamous than famous. Sean had it all going for her. Roles in Blade Runner and No Way Out put her on the map. But it wasn't long before she started gaining a reputation for being hard to work with. Then came the Batman Returns fiasco. Sean was fired from the film, and in a move that only Sean Young could pull off, she showed up to the set dressed in a homemade Catwoman costume, demanding to be rehired. Needless to say, that didn't go over well, and Sean's career took a nosedive. Hollywood wasn't having it, and soon enough, Sean became more known for her strange behavior than her acting chops. If that's not a Hollywood cautionary tale, I don't know what is. And speaking of diva behavior, up next is Faye Dunaway, one of the most celebrated actresses of her generation, was also one of the most feared. Hollywood producers and directors couldn't deny her talent. Her performances in movies like Chinatown and Bonnie and Clyde were unforgettable. But while Faye was undoubtedly one of the most talented stars to grace the silver screen, her reputation for being difficult was the stuff of Hollywood legend. The turning point in Faye's career came during the filming of Mommy Dearest. In the movie, Faye portrayed the equally infamous Joan Crawford, a Hollywood legend with her own controversial reputation for cruelty and diva behavior. For Faye, taking on this role was a high-stakes gamble. She delivered a jaw-dropping performance, but rumor has it that she immersed herself so deeply into Joan Crawford's psyche that she took on her diva-like characteristics off-screen as well. The stories from the set are endless. Faye's clashes with the cast and crew became daily occurrences. One anecdote recounts how she refused to be addressed by her own name during filming, insisting that everyone call her Miss Crawford. As filming progressed, her intense method acting started to wear on everyone involved. Her interactions with the crew were reportedly icy, with rumors that she demanded absolute silence on set, wouldn't tolerate mistakes, and once even threw a cup of urine in someone's face because her coffee was served wrong. The cast walked on eggshells around her, afraid of triggering one of her infamous temper tantrums. Faye's performance in Mommy Dearest was undeniably brilliant, earning her a place in cinema history, but it came at a steep price. Her behavior during the production left her with a reputation as one of Hollywood's most notorious divas, a label she couldn't shake for the rest of her career. Stories about her impossible demands, her clashes with co-stars, and her refusal to take direction followed her from set to set, with some directors outright refusing to work with her ever again. Hollywood loves a comeback, but it also loves watching its divas fall from grace. And for Faye, the downfall seemed never-ending. But we can't talk about diva behavior in Hollywood without mentioning Anna Nicole Smith, the tabloid queen of the 90s. Anna's life was the very definition of larger than life. From her rise as a Playboy playmate to her stint as a reality TV star, she lived her life in the spotlight, and boy did the tabloids eat it up. But it wasn't just her fame that made headlines. It was her controversial marriage to 89-year-old oil tycoon J. Howard Marshall that really got people talking. When Anna married Marshall, the media had a field day. Was it love, or was Anna just after his billions? People couldn't stop talking about it, and after Marshall passed away, the media frenzy only intensified. The legal battle over his estate dragged on for years, with Anna fighting Marshall's family for a piece of the fortune. It became one of the longest-running legal battles in Hollywood history, a soap opera for the ages. The case was so notorious, It even reached the U.S. Supreme Court. But that was just one chapter in Anna's wild life. She became a reality TV star with her show, The Anna Nicole Show, which was equal parts fascinating and tragic. The show documented her outrageous antics, her struggles with addiction, and her erratic behavior. Audiences were both captivated and horrified by what they saw. At times, it felt like watching someone's life fall apart in real time, and unfortunately, it kind of was. Anna's personal struggles with addiction and mental health became more apparent as the years went on, and by 2007, tragedy struck. Anna was found dead in her hotel room from an overdose, bringing an end to one of the most sensational lives in modern Hollywood history. Anna lived fast, loved hard, and left behind a legacy that is equal parts iconic and tragic. People still debate whether she was a victim of her circumstances or a woman who made a series of very bad choices. But one thing is for sure, Anna Nicole Smith will never be forgotten. Moving into the early 2000s, Tara Reid was the quintessential it girl. With her breakout role in American Pie, Tara shot to fame practically overnight. Suddenly, she was everywhere. On red carpets, at glamorous events, and in every magazine you could pick up. She was Hollywood's go-to girl for light-hearted teen comedies, and everyone thought she was destined for a long, successful career. But as quickly as Tara rose, her hard-partying lifestyle became her downfall. Unlike her on-screen persona, Tara's real-life image quickly started to revolve around the nightlife scene. Paparazzi caught her stumbling out of clubs, and soon enough the tabloids were filled with pictures of her at her worst moments. She became a staple of gossip columns with stories about her wild nights out and rumors of substance abuse constantly circulating. She even starred in a reality show, Paradise, which was supposed to document her glamorous life of jet-setting around the world. But instead, it became more like a highlight reel of her chaotic, party-filled life. The show was canceled after just one season, and Tara's acting career began to falter. Despite her efforts to clean up her image and get her career back on track, Tara could never quite shake off her party girl persona. Casting directors no longer saw her as a leading lady, and the offers for roles began to dry up. She became a cautionary tale of how fame, fortune, and excess could all come crashing down in Hollywood. Today, Tara continues to act in smaller projects, but she never fully regained the superstar status she once held. Her story serves as a reminder that in Hollywood, one wrong turn can send you down a path you can't easily return from. And speaking of scandal, Amber Heard became the face of one of Hollywood's messiest and most publicized breakups in the 2010s. Her toxic relationship with Johnny Depp played out in the tabloids like a real-life courtroom drama. Accusations flew back and forth, with both sides accusing the other of abuse, manipulation, and violence. The courtroom trials were explosive, and the media couldn't get enough of the dirty details. The public was split. Some believed Amber's allegations, while others saw her as the manipulative villain in the story. Fans of Johnny Depp rallied behind him, while Amber faced backlash from those who believed she was trying to destroy his career. The trial revealed shocking details about their relationship, including audio recordings and testimony that painted a picture of two people in a toxic, destructive relationship. It left many people wondering who the real villain was in the story. The scandal had lasting consequences for both of their careers. Johnny Depp was dropped from major projects, including his role in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, while Amber became a controversial figure, with petitions calling for her removal from the Aquaman sequel. The entire debacle has left a permanent mark on both stars' careers, proving once again that Hollywood loves nothing more than a juicy scandal, especially one that plays out in real time. Finally, let's talk about Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada shocked the world with her candid confessions on Red Table Talk, where she revealed her entanglement with singer August Alsina while still married to Will Smith. The internet, of course, went wild. Memes, jokes, and endless speculation about the state of her marriage flooded social media. But it wasn't just the entanglement that got people talking. It was Jada's entire approach to marriage. Her open discussions about her relationship with Will made people question whether the Hollywood power couple was as picture-perfect as they seemed. Some fans applauded Jada for her honesty, while others accused her of oversharing and dragging their personal lives into the public eye for attention. But that's the thing with Jada. Love her or hate her, she doesn't shy away from the tough conversations. Her Red Table Talk series became a massive hit, with viewers tuning in to see what scandalous topics she would tackle next. From discussing infidelity to navigating the challenges of parenting in the spotlight, Jada's willingness to lay it all out on the table has kept her in the headlines. And in today's era of social media and instant news, no Hollywood scandal stays hidden for long. Each of these actresses shows us that the higher you climb in Hollywood, the harder you can fall. The scandals, the drama, the public breakdowns. Hollywood loves to build up its stars, only to watch them crash and burn when things go wrong.